तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्प्रज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। मन्नाथ श्रीजगन्नाथ गुरु श्री जगद्गुरु तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरुराज्ञश्च गुरु परं दैवतं गुरु तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव।
ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि मृतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Wading through the waters of the Manomaya Kosha. And of course, it will cause a little bit of what should I say? Stop and go, because one is not used to thinking about the world of thoughts and the mind in this particular way, and it's actually the way that the Shruti wants us to think about what constitutes the mind or the modification of the mind is actually a very objective reading of the mind. We have started to look at this since last week. So we are not, even though we say Manomaya comprises thoughts, this is composed of various kinds of thoughts. But then when we look at the thoughts closely, none of them are very flattering because they possess us. We do not possess them. Because if you knew what kind of thought you are going to have, if you knew, then then it is not something, then it is not, then we won't be having this discussion at all. But thoughts are not will-based. Thoughts are not will-based at all. Thoughts just come. Thoughts about the past, why did I do this? Thoughts about the future, how am I going to live 10 years from now? And thoughts about in the present, let me make a list of all the people I don't like. Why do you have to make a list? Because there are so too many to remember, and I don't want to forget. This is what it is. And so therefore, The Manomaya Kosha, he has to, we need a brain massage nicely. Kind of, what should I say, dhauti. Dhauti is a particular kriya in yoga, okay? You wash out the intestines. And so you need some kind of a dhauti kriya for for the head. And so that we don't get ahead of ourselves. And at every point, there is a resistance because we are not used to thinking this way. We are not used to thinking how how the Taittiriya Upanishad is talking about it. We are not used to thinking this way. Up till now, we had no problem. It said, okay, the five elements has come. Okay, no problem, let it come. Then first Akasha came. Okay, let it come. I was not there, so I don't know which came. I'll take it. I have lots of Shraddha. No problem. Akasha came. From it, Vayu came. How? Well, doesn't matter how it came. It has come. No problem. I'll take it. Tasmad, and it's all part of the Atma. All right, we'll see how that is later. Right now, I can take that. And then this is the body. Your body is made up of food. Yeah, I can see how it's made up of food because yesterday's donuts have become today's spare tire. So I can see that this is how it is made up of food. I have no problem with this. No problem with this at all. And then prana, this is mukhya prana, the breath is called mukhya prana, then the other pranas are there, digestion is there, elimination is there, and then circulation is there, all this is there. Okay, theek hai, no problem, no problem, no problem. Okay, now we are going to talk about your mind. No, my, my mind, my head, my thoughts, who are you to come and tell me? Even those miserable thoughts that cause samsaritvam, one is not able to give away. One is not able to give away. And so the Upanishad does a little brain massage with these words. The Upanishad does a little brain massage and makes it think properly. Very, very interesting. So no wonder the Manomaya is a kosha. Kosha means a pitfall, a place of error. Naturally. But the first error is in not knowing what this mind is at all, according to the Veda. And so we have to see that. And so we have been through a few arguments. Please do not ask me to repeat them, okay? So just go back, listen to the previous talk because it is very, very vast and we have come through an iteration of some of the arguments which I have already summarized. And what is it that I have summarized? Generally speaking, you need not know. The Bhashya will go through a lot of various things. You need not know the specific things because right now those specific things will not even make sense. So, know that which the general point here. And the general point here is that the thoughts that come in the mind are not manomaya particularly, even though generally technically they may constitute manomaya. But from the standpoint of the Veda, they are very unflattering to us and unflattering in the sense of extremely subjective. And so therefore we do not count them in the manomaya. It's like it's just like we don't dwell on the unpleasant. You count only on what you can be dwelt upon, and that which you dwell upon, that which can be dwelt upon, is what is that called? Uh, is something pleasant, something beneficial, something pleasant. This much we need to know in the Bhashya what this thing is and what is this whole thing. Okay, and so this is what we have been talking about. That what constitutes the manomaya, therefore, are not random thoughts of the jiva based on strong raga and dveshas. But what constitutes the manomaya are indeed the Vedas. Oh, Vedas are my thoughts. How? I'm just summarizing this, okay? How the Vedas are my thoughts? I don't even know V for Veda. And how can they be my thoughts? Because their content is beneficial. Their purpose is to benefit humanity, and their content is all beneficial. For who? As long as you're a human being. If you have a complaint, Veda is for you. Simple. And so then, therefore, the whole Veda is because of this because of the fact that it is stored in the head. The Veda exists nowhere else but in the head of the teacher, transferred to the head of the student, and then the student gets ahead and becomes the teacher, transfers it to another head, and so on and so forth. In fact, for the as we pointed out last time, the up till now, up till recently, it wasn't even written down. Few hundred years ago, it began to be written down, maybe 1,000 years ago. But until then, it wasn't even written down. It was all just in the head. And so, therefore, this is where we have stopped. But then a lot of questions still remain to be tackled. So Veda may be in your head, but it's certainly not in my head, because I know what's in my head, and it certainly ain't the Veda. In fact, it is Veda divisions. and and if you go to Calcutta, and if you go to West Bengal, there is Vakara Bhakaryoho Abhedah. So Va and Bha are one and the same. So if you go to Bengal, they will say Veda and they mean Veda. So here, in the similar way, here the person can rightfully say, I don't have Veda in my head. I have literally only Veda, divisions of all kinds, duality. I just live wired in duality. No, 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 you have the Veda. No, how can you tell me what's in my head? I mean, come on, this is going nowhere. That's why we are spending week after week. How quickly, what is that Annamaya section got over? Good old days. How nicely Pranamaya was folded and tied into a bow. Then everybody put their fingers so that the bow would be nicely tied and helped conclude the discussion. And here we are stuck week after week after week. It is going like quicksand. And so, how can you say the Veda is in my head? Bhashyakara gives some very good explanations. Let us see on the top of page, let us read on the top of page 275, point number 51. एवं च मनोवृत्तित्वे मंत्राणां वृत्तिरेव आवर्त्यते मनसो जपः उपपद्यते अन्यथा अन्यथा अविषयत्वात् मन्त्रः न आवर्तयितुं शक्यः घटादिवत् इति मनसः जपः न उपपद्यते मंत्रावृत्तिश्च चोद्यते बहुशः कर्मसु That's enough, because that itself is going to, it's a very long argument. So the argument is very brilliant and interesting. Interesting if you just don't get hung up on the question, what is this? Why is my head full of the Veda? And if my head is full of the Veda, why don't I know it? Okay, so if you can suspend that issue for now, we'll take a little bit of a different tack, because that kind of an argument is not going to get us anywhere. We'll take a slight detour and a different tack to attack this same problem. Okay, so now so now the whole Veda Rashi, if we look at Veda, it is just in the form of vritti, thoughts. It is a body of knowledge in the form of words, but first it is vritti rupena eva vartate. It is in the form of thought. So if the Veda is in the form of thoughts, what kind of thoughts? Auspicious thoughts, beneficial thoughts, objective thoughts, not subjective thoughts, and not thoughts about a specific, attached to a specific jiva. That is not what makes manomaya. Manomaya means it has to be something general. So general means it has to be good for all the minds. So vrityatmakam veda. So the vrityatmaka. So it is in the form of vritti. Vritti means it is in the form of things that are there in the head. It is gone from one head to another. It's like Indian music. Indian music you cannot write. That's why if you go to an Indian concert, they are not looking at a paper and wondering how to turn it while playing the instrument. They are not interested in the piece of paper at all, because it is full of gamaka. Gamaka means like in between notes, ornate notes. There's no way to write it. It's all improv. And if it is not improv, it's just there in the head. It's all there in the head. No note taking. Even if you take notes, it's not going to work. Why? Because it is taught, and after it has been taught, it is caught in the head in the form of thoughts. And that thought expresses itself in speech, that thought expresses itself in the playing of the instruments, or that thought expresses itself in music, however you want to understand it. And so this is exactly how it is. And so it is called this, like all the ragas, everything, there is a vritti vishesha. Same, I mean, this is just to the example of the music is just to show that it is not the Veda being carried in the head is not weird. Even music is carried in the head. And so, like this, many things are carried in the head. You cannot really write it. And so this is but if you go to a Western concert, there will be a stand with a little, book or something, papers with all the music there written. And so then so this is another music. Indian music is another form of what is called karna parampara, and ear to ear, no, ear to mouth lineage. The ear to mouth lineage. So the teacher hears it and then articulates it, and then from the mouth it goes to another ear. So you can say mouth to ear lineage also, because there is a certain way it is like that. So it's purely vrityatmaka. And so if this much is understood, then we say that then the Bhashya says manovrittitve sati mantrana. So for Veda Mantrana, so means the mantra is there. Mantra is not just Rig Veda, all the Vedas have mantra. And so the manovrittitve sati, meaning if the mantras have got the status of being manovritti, because means that they are in the form of thoughts, then that means what? That is the primary expression. They are in the form of thoughts, and in fact, it's the thoughts that tell you to study the Veda, because there is a statement in the Veda, Swadhyayo Adhyetavya. May one study one's Veda. That is a thought. Okay, so very interesting. I find it. So that is a thought. That is a thought which was then written down later on. May one study one's Veda was written down, and so the study is what? The study is not just committing to memory. This is a very big argument here also and later in Brahma Sutra also, that memory is not a means of knowledge. We'll come to that. So here, when you say, I am studying the Veda is alive in you as you, in the form of live thoughts, just as much as the live thoughts are there when you, for example, are going for a walk. You see a tree. Now you have to duck because there is a traffic coming. Live thought, dynamic, live. And even if it's the same walk that you did yesterday, and it's the same tree that you saw yesterday, you're still seeing the new tree because that seeing is anew. The thought and memory have something to do with it because there is a recognition. Oh, so yam vrikshaha, saha ayam vrikshaha, that vriksha is this vriksha. So we can say that, but still there is a recognition, there is some role of memory is there, but mostly it is a perception, and that new perception all the time, that is how the Veda is in the head. That is why it is Manomaya. But it's not in my head. Well, too bad. It's not in your head, but really that it should be in everybody's head. It is that powerful, and that is what constitutes the Manomaya. So it is Vrityatmaka. Vrityatmaka means it is not in the form of memory, but in the form of vritti. And so even when there is a vidhi or a nishedha, an injunction or the prohibition, it is first in the form of sankalpa. It's so fascinating. It's like, okay, study your own Veda. How do you know? How do you know? I just had a thought. Or Bhagavan who put the Veda in my head, who put it in the form of the thought, that the Veda, one's own Veda must be studied. So the Veda itself tells one's own Veda must be studied. And why is this important? Because there is a vidhi. So this is where Bhashyakara wants you to connect the two things. What are the two things? Both of them start with V. One, it is Vrityatmaka, and second, it is in the form of Vidhi. Vrityatmaka is, it is in the form of thoughts. And what do the thoughts do? The thoughts enjoin you to do certain actions and not do, refrain from certain actions. Adhyatavyaha, one must study. Shrotavyaha, one must listen to it. This must be listened to. Mantavyaha, all the doubts must be removed. Nididhyasitavyaha, one must contemplate. Kalanjam na bhakshayet, one must not eat meat. Like this, there are vidhi and nishedha. And that vidhi and nishedha, which comprises the Veda, the body of knowledge, which is there for one's own good. Here we are talking of the Veda as a whole, not just Upanishads. And it comprises the whole Veda is in the form of vidhi. And this vidhi means injunctions. And those injunctions are how are those injunctions? In the form of vrittis, thought formations, mental formations held in the head. So the walking compendium of things, do's and don'ts, that comprises Manomaya Kosha. Very, very interesting. And so then this vidhi, so therefore this vidhi is there, the adhyayana vidhi, and the adhyayana vidhi means it's like the recitation of one's Veda, study of one's Veda, and all this pravachanam, everything is advised here. So this is how you get the Veda from another person. And when you get the Veda from another person, then then even though it is recited orally, it is taken in a very subtle way. it is meant. So this manovrittitvam vedanam, that the manovrittitve sati means that the manovritti is mukhya. Mukhya means that is the idea. That the recitation which is happening is even though it may be oral, it's actually a thought field, a field of thoughts. And so the Veda, even though it is recited, it is in the form of thoughts. Mantra, even though it is recited, it's in the form of thoughts. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. You are replacing every thought with Om Namah Shivaya. And if it is a Veda mantra, like Gayatri, Om Tat Saviturvare Emnyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. This is something which should be chanted very, very softly or mentally. Mantras should be chanted mentally. This is another injunction. And where did that come from? That also came mentally. All right. So let us not become mental at the end of this section. All right. So this is the thing. And the Manasa Japa also, that Vidhi is there because the Vidhi means there is an intention and a call for action. That is Vidhi. An intention and an intention which is a call for action, meaning the free will is used in the vidhi. And manovrittitve sati, only the Bhashyakara is in the process of establishing that this repetition is possible. Only when the Veda is held in the mind, it is possible to repeat. Whenever the Vidhi tells you to repeat, like, okay, repeat the Gayatri 24, what is that? 24, 240,000 times 240,000. Yeah. Repeat the Gayatri that many times. And so then that is the Vidhi. Because there is an intention to repeat. And then why am I repeating? Am I foolish? No. There are some goodies after repeating. If you repeat the Gayatri that many times, that means you have the world spinning on your hands. That is the power of the Gayatri. Pujya Swamiji used to tell the story that when he went to buy vegetables, somebody used to, the vegetable seller, he was buying vegetables from one of the sellers, and the other seller sitting in the other row said, oh, Gayatri repeater, come here, buy from me. And Swamiji was like, how did you know? I'm chanting the Gayatri every day. He was very surprised. He was a young man and he was very surprised. How does she know? And he didn't think it was polite to ask, so he didn't ask, but he knew he was wondering for a long time. How does he know? But I repeat the Gayatri every day. That is its power. And so repeat means it's not just because you don't have anything to do, just sit and repeat. There is a phala there. The vidhi alone, this is another little, what should I say, Vedic trivia. The vidhi alone means that which is enjoined for one to do has the power of producing what is called apurva. Apurva is a fancy word for punya. Okay, when you're tired of saying punya, 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 you can say apurva. And everybody looks up. Oh, what is that? Oh, this is what you're studying in the weekend classes. Oh, great. Okay. You can have you can have a moment in the sun when you say apurva instead of punya. But it has the exact same meaning. Punya alone, it means nothing else. So apurva just for fun. So it has the power to produce apurva, these vidhis. What kind of vidhis? Mental vidhis. There's nothing to do with anything, but it has nothing to do with chopping vegetables and making some big naivedya. No. It is just mentally repeating that itself is the vidhi. And so therefore, this is something which is fascinating here. So that vidhi is connected to the production of what is called apurva. Like he gives an example, manasa japa, and it produces phalam, and the phalam is the main thing. That is the mukhyartha. Manovritti is the mukhyartha, because there is in this repetition mentally, and in holding the Veda mentally and doing things with those words mentally, then there is the intentionality, and that intentionality brings forth results. And then, so this is the so the acharya, the adhyeta, the one who is teaching, for them also it is in the form of the vritti in their mind, and when you grasp it, it is also the form of the vritti in your mind. Vritti means it is constantly finite, but at the same time there is something there which keeps it going. Vritti, 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 vritti. Now, so if you are repeating the Veda mentally, that means what? You are in the now. And you are just, your mind is just caressing and playing with the words of Bhagavan. That is really what it is. Because Vrityatmaka means it is alive. It is not a thought in the form of memory, he's going to say. There's a vast difference. And then he argues, in this, the Bhashya. So here he argues one more thing. He says, Vrittihi eva avartyate iti manasah japah manasah japah upapadyate. So, Vrittihi eva avartyate. This vritti alone is capable of being repeated. What is inside the head alone is capable of being repeated, nothing what is outside the head. So, pot. Pot is also recognized through pot thought. You cannot repeat pot. You may repeat pot thought, but that it does not create any apurva. So, the desire to repeat pot thought really dies off very quickly because it doesn't create any punya. It is of no use. So part thought, who wants to repeat part thought? Raise your hands. Nobody. So only because the Veda is in the form of vritti, avritti means repetition is possible. And that vritti is converted into a repetition, and the same mantra, like Gayatri is repeated. And so it is repeat, 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 repeat. Even after sannyasa, Gayatri is not given up. It is collapsed into pranava, omkar. That is what it is. And the child is initiated as a young boy, young girl, and then after that they repeat, 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 repeat. And the initiation ceremony is also very beautiful to watch. The parents give the mantra to the child, but nobody should hear. Why? It is Vrityatmaka. So they will whisper it in the child's ear, or sometimes, depending on the Veda they follow, they have a nice shawl which is covered over the over the parents and the child. Nobody should hear. Everybody else is outside. So this is what happens. And so then the Gayatri is never discontinued. Gayatri is a prime example of how it is carried in the head. And so therefore the so this is the Gayatri. One more example of how the Avritti is done all the life. And then how is it done? Manasa Avritti. Mental repetitions. And so mental repetition only is always kept secret, and mental repetition. And so therefore what? So this is what he says, that if it was not in the form of vritti, then you will not be able to repeat it. Vrittihi eva avartyate iti manasah japah upapadyate. Mental japa is only possible because vritti can be that act. It is an internal sankalpa, an internal intention to repeat the mantra. Gayatri or Om Namah Shivaya is not outside. It's not a Vishaya outside. It is not Bhakya Vishaya. It is Antakarana Vishaya alone. It is an internal Vishaya. Then only that vritti, it can come out as vritti, it can be repeated. Therefore, japa is possible. And the Veda does advise japa. Then what if the mantra anyatha na upapadyate, means if the mantra is like ghata outside, then avritti na avartyate. Avishayatvat means it is Vishaya Adarshana. It is not a Vishaya for Avritti. It is not a Vishaya for repetition. How? Ghatadivat, like even a pot. If it's an external object, there is nothing to repeat. You recognize and it's done. There is nothing to repeat. It's not possible for you to repeat, outside ghata. Ghata means pot. So it's an object. It's an outside object. Being an external object, it remains external. Therefore, you can see the object. Yes, vritti recognition is involved. Ayam ghataha iti jnanam is involved. That's all you can do. Nothing else. It's an external object. And it becomes an external vishaya. Manasaha japaha na upapadyate. Mental japa is ruled out. Why? Because mental japa is vrityatmaka avritti. It's a repetition of what is within. Then only you can repeat it. And then, why can't it be, like supposing you say, why can't it be, let it not be a thing for repetition. Why can't it be an external object? Why should the mantra be in the form of the vritti? Why should the manomaya be in the form of the Veda, which is in the form of vritti? Mantra avritti chodyate. Chodyate means because he explains. He explains so nicely to all the people who don't even know V for Veda. He is explaining. Chodyate is enjoined. Passive voice. What chodyate? Mantra avrittihi chodyate. The repetition of the mantra is advised, is enjoined. And then where bahushaha karmasu, in many religious acts. In many religious acts, the repetition of the mantra is enjoined. Dhyayet, like this. Do some dhyana before the yajna. Shuklambaradharam Vishnum. All these things you have to do. You repeat mentally. And like a dhyanam, like dhyana shloka is there. And Shuklambaradharam Vishnum is a dhyana shloka. And then, so like this, there is and then one more dhyana shloka, Shanta Karam Bhujaka Shayanam. Like these, so many dhyana shlokas are there. And then they are all in the form of vritti. You are asked to visualize. It's a combination of the visualization of certain attributes of Bhagavan, and then all these attributes resolve into that attribute-less Bhagavan, which is you. And how do you know it? Through the vritti. So in every dhyana shloka, both those things are there. There's some features of Bhagavan are given to fix the mind, and that for the sake of focus. And then after that, certain pure vastu is talked about. Sometimes in the dhyana shloka, even in the songs, it's there. And so therefore in the yajna, you have to repeat certain mantras mentally. Suddenly, the person performing the ritual will close their eyes and think of something, or they'll repeat something. There is a vidhi there. And then they have to repeat the mantra 3 times. Bhashyakara will give that example. 3 times you have to repeat, or 5 times you have to repeat, etc., etc. And so they don't repeat orally, they repeat mentally. Therefore, mantra vrittihi chodyate, shrutya chodyate. It is enjoined by the shruti. And the repetition of the mantra, bahushaha karmasu, in reference to many, many karmas, it is enjoined. And so, therefore, so then, this one, our Purva Pakshi is standing by. Purva Pakshi is like a standby passenger on a plane. You don't, till the last minute, you don't know whether the person will be on board or not. But suddenly they are there. Suddenly they are there. And so, what is the Purva Pakshi? Purva Pakshi brings out a small question. Akshepa. Akshara Vishaya Smritya Vritya Manta Vrittihi Syad Iti Chet. Whenever, so how do you recognize the Purva Pakshi? They love two words, two expressions. One is Nanu. Nanu means wait a minute, indeed, not really, so many things it means. One is Nanu, and that's always in the beginning of what they say. Sometimes they complain, Nanu, sometimes they show off, Nanu, so it doesn't matter which tone it is said, one is Nanu. And then the other one, the more polite ones, say something at the end. It is iti chet, what if? This one is a little less rude than the Nanu Purva Pakshi. Purva Pakshi means the objector, the one who says, I don't accept this. Why? Because my head is filled with not Veda, but these kinds of objections. It is very, very clear. And so, therefore, I am going to air them out. You yourself said it's Dhrityatmaka. Here, come and have a view of my mind, my kosha, and my kosha is full of objections against you. And so you say that it is Vrityatmaka, that you are each time thinking of Gayatri, Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha, again fresh, and next day you chant Om Bhur Bhuva Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam, etc. It's all a fresh thought. No, 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 no. What if it is not a fresh thought? Then what else can it be? Well, Akshara Vishaya Smritya Vritya Mantra Vrittihi Syat. Syat means it is. It is what? It may be. What? This mantra vritti that you are talking about, you just gave a nice hetu. You gave a nice example. And what was the example you gave? If it is not if it is not vrityatmaka, it cannot be repeated. I have an objection. If it is not Vrityatmaka, it can be repeated because how did you learn the Veda in the beginning? You memorized it, did you not? Yeah. So then, what is the role of memory in all this? Simply, it is in the form of thoughts, means the memory has to be there. Without memory, you cannot recall anything. You cannot recall any word, even Purusha Sukta, first line, what is there? I don't know. so, so therefore, what if it is not Vrityatmaka? What it is, if it is Smrityatmaka? So, Smrityatmaka means it is in the form of Smriti, means memory, not Vritti, thoughts. Not live thoughts, but memory. Memory means recalled thoughts. Okay, and so this is a very interesting argument. And then so let's look at the argument before we try to refute. So why not instead of looking at the pot, I just have the memory of the pot. Why not I repeat that memory of the pot? No, that is not possible. Why? Because memory, like for example, if you want a laddu means ball of sweet calories. Okay. So if you want a laddu, just the memory of the laddu is not going to give you the satisfaction of the laddu. Is it? No. Memory of the laddu, in fact, is going to make you terribly sad, especially if you have some sugar problems. A doctor has told you don't eat laddus. All right, you have sugar, you have cholesterol, don't eat laddus. So for such a person, thinking of laddu, immediately the person becomes sad. It's not going to help in any way. So the memory of the laddu is not going to give you the laddu. And so then the memory does not constitute what he's going to call later mukhyartha. Mukhyartha means it is not the point that is being discussed here. And vritti, the pramana can be in the form of the vritti. But memory is not a pramana. Memory cannot be a means of knowledge. Memory may help you recognize certain things, but it is not a means of knowledge. Why? Very simple. What is the definition of pramana? We have to recall. What is one of the conditions that makes a pramana a pramana? Anadhigatatvam, anadhigata, arthabodhakam, phalavat. These are the three things that make a pramana, make something a pramana. It should be anadhigata, means it should not be knowable by any other way than through the deployment of this particular means of knowledge. Anadhigata, and then what? Arthabodhakatvam. Arth means it should be meaningful to me. And phalavat means it should give me what I want. It should have a purpose, it should have a meaning, and it should not be found anywhere else. It should be meaningful to me and it should not be found anywhere else. That which leads me to that is called pramana. So then memory does not constitute pramana, because what is memory? It's just leftover thoughts. It's not new. It's not vritti. It's just a bunch of leftover thoughts. Leftover, because there is no anadhigata. It is just jnapakam. It's just a recognition, recognition, like refried beans. Okay, yeah. So recognition. It is not fresh. It is not new. It is like yesterday's rice being made into some. You just put some new seasoning and you put a few vegetables or something like that, and you whip up some kind of a dish, pulao, and then it is memory is like that. Memory is day before yesterday's idlis made into today's upma. That is memory. It is not anything new. It's just it is only adhigata vishaya alone. It is not anadhigata vishaya. Adhigata means that which is already recognized. And then you recognize the idli in the upma, just like you do that, and you recognize the rice that was from the same thing again and again. So when you see even something, let's say you see the tree again and again, or a pot, it's not, it's just it's the, what's that? If you recall the pot, it's not the same as seeing the pot and objectifying the pot. If you recalled pot is just an, it's just what they call pratyabhijna. Soyam ghataha. It's just a recalled pot. And then so therefore the therefore each time, but so therefore a recalled knowledge is old knowledge. But each time you see an object, even if it's the same object, it is a new piece of knowledge using the eyes, etc., etc. Memory has a role, but it is not primarily memory. So the pramana becomes a pramana because the knowledge that it generates is new. Therefore, memory is not a pramana because memory is just leftover knowledge. It doesn't give you new knowledge at all. Because if it's an external object and I have smriti alone, then there will be then there cannot be any avritti, there cannot be any repetition. It is only memory, and the memory is the memory here is just the old thing regurgitated. It is nothing new. And then that is the first thing we will say, in favor of memory. Memory is just something that is just recalled. It is just new. It's not. It's just recalled. It's not new. Number one. Number two, memory does not have sankalpa in order to do vidhi, in order to do avritti, in order to do repetition. There must be a sankalpa, means intention. Mamopat durita kshayadvara ahamidam karishye. This is the sankalpa said at the Shri Parameshwara Prityartham. Ahamidam karishye. This is the sankalpa said in the beginning of any puja, any yajna, anything. This is the sankalpa. What is the sankalpa? Mama upakta, earned by me, durita kshayadvara, to exhaust all the difficult karmas from my life. I do this. I am going to do this. Ahamidam karishye. So this is not something for memory. Memory, if it was raining, memory can recall something, but memory lacks sankalpa. Memory is not free will. Vritti has free will in it. Memory doesn't have free will. In fact, many times you don't want to think of the past, but what comes? All the ghoulish nightmares of the past come. We don't want to think of it. So that means you don't have a say over the waves of the mind which dwells in the past. The thoughts possess you. But that which is Veda, which is Vrityatmaka, this is what I said last week. You possess the thoughts and you say it with the intention of writing your life. You want a new beginning. You want different outcome. And you want Apurva. What is Apurva? Punya. You want this Punya. And so you are going to repeat it. You are going to do this, you are going to do this. And so therefore it is Vrityatmaka. Memory cannot have sankalpa. You don't decide to recall something. It doesn't happen. And suddenly, like even when you're doing Ganesha worship, suddenly you think of mouse. That just happens spontaneously. Why? Because you know somehow, again from memory, that Ganesha sits on the mouse or his mascot is the mouse. That's how you think of the mouse. The memory comes by leapfrogging associations, sometimes no association at all. This is what the memory is. And so therefore, the without any association also it comes. But then when there is vidhi is there, when the memory cannot fulfill the vidhi, means the injunction. When you have to fulfill the vidhi, what you need? Sankalpa. A conscious intention, sankalpena kriyate. It is done through this conscious intention alone. Because then there is a time for which to do it, there is a way to do it, everything. So then, of course, memory is there. Because you have memorized something, it is there. But then it's still vrityatmaka because it is only in the form of vrittis. And it is in the form of that which is heard and kept in the form of memory. So memory is just a storage device for the vrittis which are taking rest until they are needed. Once they are needed, they are summoned, they are alive. And that's exactly what it means. Because otherwise, this is a very important thing. Because see, the supposing you say you saw the Swami yesterday. You say that, so, and you saw this tree yesterday. So then the buddhi is after seeing alone. You say, I saw this person yesterday in the Zoom class. I saw the Swami yesterday. But supposing if the Swami is just a product of memory, then what? Then that means the Swami is not in this realm anymore. Like Pujya Swamiji, we just have memories. We have a whole lot of memories that we are carrying. That means what? The Swami is not here to interact with anymore. That's why all we have left is a compendium of memories about his life, about how he used to be, about what he used to do, about how he dealt with people. All these things are in the form of memory. Why? Because that the Swami is not there to create vritti. So memory means, it is just so this is what is memory. There is no mukhyatvam. And here the mantra that you carry is not the thought, like the thought of someone who is no longer in this realm. The thought of a dear one who is no longer in this realm. That is not how you carry the mantra. You see, think about it. You yourself will see the difference. If you are thinking of some grandma who has gone away, who is no longer there, you hold the memory of that person in your mind. And now you have the memory of the mantra that you are chanting, and you are chanting the mantra. There is a difference. Mantra is alive, and the thoughts of the grandmother they are merely thoughts that are not going to, that do not bring that grandmother to life. In other words, the grandmother is not there. It's just a bunch of memories. Memories are as gone as the grandmother. They are not, they don't have life. So the thoughts about the lifeless person also don't have life. So they are in the form of memory. They are just there. They are leftover connections with that person. But now you think of the mantra completely different. Even if you don't know the meaning, it is transforming you. You are intending to repeat it, and you repeat the mantra again and again and again. And then when you repeat the mantra, you find that you are you are in the very wonderful place because it is alive. Why? Because it has the power. You have the power to chant it mentally, and it has the power to give you results. The thoughts of a person gone does not give you results. There is no apurvata created because of memory. So this thing must be understood. Okay. So then there is no apurvata created, and so therefore this is the mantra has come from vritti alone. And so this is the argument. So then so therefore Bhashyakara will dismantle this argument, because the argument was what? Akshara Vishaya. Akshara Vishaya means that which is the subject matter of syllables. The mantra is in the form of syllables. It is syllabic. Akshara Vishaya Smriti Smritya Avritya. So that which is in the which has been recollected. The mantra that is recollected is only due to memory. Iti chet. Why not we take it that way? And Adi Shankara says, no, no. Why not? Mukhyartha asambhavat. Asambhava means not possible. Not possible. What is not possible? Mukhyartha, the primary intention of such repetition is not possible. What is the primary intention of bringing the mantra to life by repeating it? Because I want the good deeds associated with it. I want the drishtaphala. Drishtaphala means a calm, shanti mind, a mind that is abiding in itself. And I want the adrishta too. Little bit of adrishta is created, some apurva punya vishesha. Next time, if there is a life, next life, perhaps the person will be born in a household where everybody meditates and everybody is calm. Nobody is always talking over one another, not letting anybody get a word in sideways. And so, therefore, what? He says, no. Mukhyartha means the primary purpose of this repetition. It has to be willful, and it is in the form of vidhi, an injunction, and the vidhi creates karmaphala. When that which is enjoined is done, it creates punya. So memory does not create punya. That is number 3 about memory. So third point to remember about memory, it does not create punya at all. So then if you think of something, then it is just something that is no longer here you are thinking of. That is what is the memory. And here, but when you think of mantra, it is alive in the form of vritti. Yes, you remember it because of memory, but that memory, it has seeds of life when you chant it. So Akshara Vishaya means the mantra which is in the form of Akshara, syllabic, and then what was the next one? Smritya Avritya. By purely the repetition from memory alone, if the mantra vritti syat, if the mantra is repeated, then it's all in the form of words which are easy to remember. And so then if you remember the first word and the second word, etc., then naturally memory is in play. Why not we say, from memory alone it has come? No, not really. Why? It is not got mukhyatvam. Mukhyatvam means it is not part of the vidhi. Part of the vidhi means what? It is not anga of the karma. Anga means a limb of an extended karma. So the repetition of the mantra may not be the whole karma. The whole karma is putting ghee in the fire and all these things. That is the whole karma. And in the middle of it, the person is told to sit quietly and meditate and repeat the mantra given by the Guru 50 times, 40 times, 3 times, whatever it is. 5 times, 21 times. And then a punya vishesha, a purva vishesha is created that will only fructify after the whole ritual is done. So this little meditation inside a larger puja, snuck inside a larger puja by the Veda, is there for a specific purpose to bring about a particular punya. So now if you do the whole karma and omit the meditation, what is your thought? Will you get the punya or not? No, you will not get the punya. Oh, but it's only 3 minute meditation I left out, doesn't matter. The whole karma is gone to waste because this is this is what is called anga. All the rituals are like that. So, let's say one does a married person's ritual called Agnihotra. Both the husband and the wife have to sit and do it. From the day they are married till the day they die, they have to sit and do it. And so, oh, okay, I think I can manage that. Well, is that all? No, because the Agnihotra has several angas. So one of them is called Darsha. Darsha means actually sight, but here actually it is no moon ritual. When there is no moon, you do Darsha ritual. And then when there is full moon, you do Paurnamasa ritual. So then there is Darsha and Paurnamasa. And then there is Atithi. Then there is Bhuta Yajna, giving things to all the beings. Atithi Yajna, honoring a guest every day. All these are angas. Giving dhanam, this is also an anga. And then if you do all this, then only you are known as a NityagniHotri. Otherwise, the punya of the Agnihotra does not fructify until all these things are are done. And in fact, all the angas, if you count, they are, I think, 18 in number. So all of those little satellite rituals, we can call angas that. The satellite rituals have to be done. And so therefore what? So therefore, this vritti that is there, that has the power to produce punya, is very much part of the karma, part of the Vedic ritual. That is its mukhya place. And so memory will not give you that. Memory is not a mukhya kriya. Because memory is not a kriya, first of all. Memory is not an action. Action is through thought. And even if the mantra is held in the memory, it has to jump out of the memory bin in the form of a live thought and do a few dance steps. Then only it is called a live mantra. Okay. So then the repetition cannot be the memory is not the memory does not have any place here. It's got no place at all. And so therefore it's like if you don't do this particular thing, it is bhasmani putam ahuti. So it's like putting ahuti means the offering offered to Agni in the Lord Agni in the fire ritual. It's like offering to the bhasma means ashes. And so that's the thing. So the mantra is not a dead group of sounds simply recalled. No. Mantra comes alive in the form of vritti. And it is mukhyarthatva. How is it mukhyarthatva? Mukhyarthatvam katham. How it has mukhyarthatvam? And he gives an example. Trif prathamam anvaha triruttamam iti rigadi vrittihi shruyate. Shruyate means it is there in the Shruti. Shruyate means I'm giving an example, I'm giving a proof from the Shruti. And what is the proof from the Shruti? Rig avrittihi shruyate. So in the Rig Veda, this is a particular injunction which is heard. We hear of a particular injunction. Trish prathamam anvaha. Anvaha means repeat. Trihi means three times. Prathamam anvaha. Uttamam anvaha trihi. Three times you repeat the first mantra. Again, there are 18 mantras in this particular section of the Rig Veda. So the Hota means the priest will tell the person who is the Yajamana, please chant the first three mantras. Sorry, please chant the first mantra three times. Okay, then what shall I do? Please chant the last mantra three times. Three times first mantra, three times last mantra you chant. And then, so this is what is there. This is what you have to do this. And please chant. And then the person sits quietly and chants. And then when they repeat it three times, this is not smriti. This is not dead memory. This is a live Veda. Because if it is not live, it cannot be vidhi, it cannot be a satellite part of the karma. So trihi prathamam anvaha, trihi uttamam anvaha iti shruyate. All this is talked about in Purva Mimamsa, etc. And so this shows what? That it is not something that is a dead thing. It's not something that is dead. It is not something, even though memory has a role. The memory has a role in this. The memory is not, it's not just a recalled mantra. It is a mantra that has the power to produce apurva. That is what the thing is. And so this is the so this Rik Avritti is there. The first and the last mantras. Please repeat three times. This is what is done. This is the mukhya. This is the very important part of the ritual. That means what? These mantras vritti rupena vartante. They are in the form of thoughts. They become thoughts. And so then that vrittihi eva atra avartyate. That vritti alone is repeated. So that vrityatmakatvat avritti upapattihi is established. Because it is in the form of vritti, the repetition is possible, it is established, etc. And so therefore, so each time you repeat it, it is real. And besides, final point, the smriti means the memory cannot produce. If you just think of laddu is not produced. I already told you this. Think of gulab jamun is not produced. And so think of, you recall the mantra, nothing happens. You repeat the mantra mentally, something happens. That is the idea. More we'll see tomorrow. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. I'm going to share what is it called? Before you go, I'm going to share the link for the weekend. Next weekend, we have the President's Day retreat, a weekend retreat, right here in this classroom. And the details of that will be here in the chat pod. So I'm going to share that. You can download the flyer, okay? And you're all most welcome to attend. So it will start on Friday, the 17th, and go up to Monday morning, the 20th. All right. So you can miss this blue link which is there. You can do that. All right. And then again, the flight timing got changed, so I'm not able to. We are having some air show. That's why there is some changes in the flight. So we'll have class. Bodhasara class is there tomorrow, and then we will have also this class tomorrow. But then Monday night class, I'm not able to take. All right. Yeah. So all the best. See you for both the